Everyone called her a saint, the mother who never left her sick child's bedside, the woman who documented every hospital visit, every treatment, every small victory. Her social media following grew into the hundreds of thousands. Strangers sent prayers, donations, support. But something was wrong. The doctors couldn't figure out why the boy kept getting worse, why every time he started to recover, new symptoms appeared, why his blood work showed things that didn't make sense. What they didn't know would change everything. Sarah Martinez worked as a receptionist at a dental office in a quiet suburb. Every morning, she'd drop her 6-year-old son Dylan at school before heading to work. To her coworkers, she seemed ordinary, pleasant, maybe a bit quiet. She lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment. The walls were covered with photos of Dylan, him as a baby, his first birthday, Halloween costumes, school pictures. Every corner of that apartment told the same story. A mother who adored her child. Sarah's husband had left when Dylan was 2. Just packed his things one Saturday and never came back. No explanation. No goodbye to his son. After that, it was just the 2 of them. Sarah and Dylan against the world. Her coworkers noticed she kept to herself. She'd eat lunch alone, scrolling through her phone. She never joined happy hours or weekend plans. When people asked about her life, she'd give short answers and change the subject. But on social media, Sarah was different. She posted constantly. Photos of Dylan, updates about his health, detailed captions about their daily struggles. Her account, Dylan's Journey, had started small, just a way to keep family updated, she'd told her sister. Then Dylan got sick. It started with stomach issues, then respiratory problems, then mysterious fevers. Sarah documented everything: the hospital visits, the concerned doctors, the sleepless nights. Her followers grew from hundreds to thousands. People called her inspiring, brave, a warrior mother. What nobody knew was that Sarah would check her follower count multiple times every hour. She'd refresh her posts obsessively, watching the likes climb. She'd read every comment, every message of support. Some nights, she'd stay up until 3 in the morning, responding to strangers who praised her strength. And there was something else nobody knew. Something Sarah herself barely acknowledged. The pattern that was forming. The cycle that was starting. The way her hands would shake when Dylan started feeling better. Dylan's symptoms got worse over the next 6 months. The pediatrician referred them to specialists. Gastroenterology, immunology, neurology. Nobody could find a clear diagnosis. Sarah's phone buzzed constantly now. Messages of support. Requests for updates. News outlets asking to feature their story. She'd started a fundraising page. Donations poured in, $15,000 in the first month. But something shifted after Dylan's first week without symptoms. He came home from school with a report card, all A's. His teacher had written a note: "Dylan is doing wonderfully, so bright and engaged." Sarah posted it with the caption, "Even when his body fights him, my warrior keeps smiling." 3,000 likes. Then Dylan stayed healthy for 2 weeks straight. No fever, no stomach pain, no emergency room visits. Sarah still posted, but the engagement dropped from thousands of likes to hundreds. The comments slowed. The donations stopped. She found herself checking her old posts. The ones from his worst days. Tens of thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments. News articles. Interview requests. One morning, she gave Dylan his vitamins. Then, she opened a different bottle, the one from the back of her medicine cabinet. Just one pill, she told herself, just to be safe. Just in case he's getting sick again. Dylan spent that night vomiting. Sarah documented everything. The hospital visit got 23,000 likes. The next month, Dylan improved again. A specialist thought they'd found the issue. A minor food allergy, simple treatment. He could live normally, the doctor said. Sarah smiled and nodded and thanked them. Her follower count had plateaued. The donations had dried up. Someone had started a more popular medical journey account. A little girl with leukemia. Real cancer. Real tragedy. Sarah's story was getting boring. She started small. A bit of ipecac syrup mixed into his juice. Not enough to hurt him seriously. Just enough to make him sick. Just enough for one more hospital visit. One more round of tests. One more wave of sympathy. The posts came flooding back. Prayers, donations, a local news segment about their struggle. Sarah cried on camera, holding Dylan's hand as he lay in the hospital bed, pale and weak. "I just want my baby to be healthy," she whispered. The clip went viral. 2 million views. But the doctors were getting suspicious now. One nurse noticed something odd. Dylan's symptoms only appeared after his mother visited. When Sarah left for a few hours, he improved. When she returned, he declined. A new doctor reviewed his case. Young, fresh perspective. She started asking different questions. About the timeline. About who was present when symptoms started. About what Dylan ate and drank at home. Sarah felt the walls closing in. She posted more frequently. More desperate captions. More photos of Dylan looking sick. But something had changed in the comments. Questions. Doubts. Someone wrote, "Why does he only get sick when you're there?" Sarah deleted the comment. Then another appeared, and another. The hospital scheduled a case conference. They wanted to observe Dylan for 72 hours, without parental visits, just to monitor him, they said. Standard procedure for complex cases. Sarah's hands shook as she signed the consent form. She knew what 72 hours of observation meant. She knew what they'd see. Dylan getting better. Dylan eating normally. Dylan laughing and playing without symptoms. She had 3 days before everything fell apart. The morning of day 3, Sarah sat in her car outside the hospital. She hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. Her phone lay silent on the passenger seat. For the first time in months, she wasn't checking her notifications. Inside that building, Dylan was healing. She knew it, could feel it. The doctors would have their answers soon. The late autumn sun was just starting to rise. The parking lot was empty, except for a few cars belonging to night shift nurses. Sarah could hear her own breathing, the tick of the cooling engine, a bird somewhere. She thought about the past year, the followers, the comments, the interviews, the way strangers would recognize her at the grocery store. "You're Dylan's mom," they'd say. "You're so strong." She thought about the dental office, how small she'd felt there, how invisible, filing papers, answering phones, eating lunch alone while her coworkers talked about their lives, their husbands, their normal, healthy children. She thought about her ex-husband, the way he'd looked at her the last morning. Not angry, not sad, just empty, like she wasn't really there, like she was already fading. Her phone buzzed, a text from the hospital. Dylan was awake, asking for her. The doctors wanted to speak with her. Today, in 2 hours. Sarah picked up the phone, opened her social media. 147,000 followers. The latest post had 32,000 likes. A photo of Dylan from last week. Pale, weak, suffering. The top comment, "Praying for you both. You're the strongest mother I know." She read it again and again. "The strongest mother I know." Her finger hovered over the screen. She could delete the account. Right now, make it all disappear. Go into that hospital. Tell them everything. Get help. Real help. Let Dylan be healthy. Let him be normal. Let him have a childhood that wasn't measured in symptoms and suffering. But then what? She'd be nobody again. The receptionist, the abandoned wife, the woman people forgot the moment she left the room. No interviews, no donations, no messages telling her she mattered, no strangers calling her brave. Just Sarah, alone in a quiet apartment, invisible. She thought about the bottle at home, in the bathroom, behind the cleaning supplies. She'd bought a new one last week, just in case, just to have options. Dylan was getting better. The doctors knew. Soon everyone would know. She could stop now, walk away, disappear, move somewhere new, start over. Or she could give them something else to talk about. One final post, one final moment of attention, something they'd never forget. Sarah opened the car door. The hospital was quiet this early. Sterile white hallways, fluorescent lights, the smell of antiseptic and cafeteria coffee. Her footsteps echoed as she walked toward the pediatric wing. A nurse smiled at her. "He's been asking for you all morning. He's doing so much better." Sarah nodded, smiled back, kept walking. Dylan's room was at the end of the hall. Door closed, a security camera above it. A new addition, she noticed. She stood outside for a long moment, hand on the door handle, knowing that on the other side was her son, healthy, happy, healing, and knowing what that meant for her. The door opened, but it wasn't Sarah who opened it. A doctor stood there, 2 security guards behind her, and the look on their faces told Sarah everything. They knew. Sarah was escorted from the hospital that morning. Child Protective Services took custody of Dylan immediately. The investigation revealed everything: the medicine bottles, the search history on her laptop, the pattern in his medical records that aligned perfectly with her social media posts. Dylan recovered within a week, completely. No symptoms, no mysterious illness. He was a healthy 6-year-old boy who just wanted to play with other kids and go to school. Sarah was arrested 3 days later. The charges included child abuse, assault, and filing false medical claims. Her social media accounts were deleted. The fundraising money was seized. The followers who once called her a hero now called her a monster. But here's the question that haunted everyone who followed the case. Why? Was Sarah a monster? Or was something deeper happening here? Something that goes beyond simple cruelty. Let's break down the psychology behind what we just witnessed. First, there's the core disorder itself. Munchausen syndrome by proxy is a mental health condition where a caregiver, usually a parent, fabricates or induces illness in someone under their care. But here's what makes it so disturbing. They're not doing it for money. Not primarily. They're doing it for attention, for sympathy, for the role of the suffering, heroic caregiver. Think of it like this. Imagine you only feel real, only feel seen, when other people are watching you handle a crisis. When the crisis ends, you disappear, so you make sure the crisis never ends. In Sarah's case, every time Dylan got healthy, her identity evaporated. The followers, the comments, the recognition, all of it vanished. She wasn't a warrior mother anymore. She was just Sarah. And that was unbearable. Second, there's the social media amplification factor. Traditional cases of this disorder involved seeking attention from doctors, family members, maybe a small community. But social media changed everything. Now, instead of a dozen people witnessing your sacrifice, you have hundreds of thousands. The validation is instant, measurable, addictive. Studies show that social media engagement triggers the same reward centers in our brain as gambling or drugs. Every like, every comment, every share releases a hit of dopamine. For someone already struggling with identity and self-worth issues, this becomes intoxicating. Sarah wasn't just getting sympathy from her sister or a doctor. She was getting it from a global audience. 24 hours a day, quantified in numbers that kept growing until they didn't. Third, there's the identity vacuum. Sarah's entire sense of self became wrapped up in being Dylan's mother, specifically being the mother of a sick child. When her husband left, when her life felt small and meaningless, the sick child narrative gave her purpose, status, recognition. She wasn't failing at marriage or career. She was succeeding at the most important job, saving her child. Research from medical journals shows that perpetrators of this disorder often have histories of childhood neglect, personality disorders, or profound feelings of emptiness. They're not psychopaths. They're not evil. They're deeply broken people who found a twisted way to feel whole. When these 3 factors combine, the need for identity, the addiction to social validation, and access to a vulnerable victim, you get one of the most disturbing forms of child abuse we know. And it's getting more common. Maybe you've never hurt anyone. Maybe you'd never dream of it. But ask yourself this: have you ever felt more alive when people were paying attention? Have you ever exaggerated a struggle just a little, just to keep someone's sympathy? Have you ever measured your worth in likes and comments and followers? Most of us have done some version of this. Posted the gym selfie, shared the humble brag, documented the hardship for validation. The difference is degree. Sarah crossed every line there is. But the impulse that drove her, the need to be seen, to matter, to exist in other people's eyes, that's more common than we'd like to admit. Where's your line? And how do you know you won't cross it when the attention starts to fade? If this story made you think differently about the content we consume and share, hit that like button and subscribe. We explore the darkest corners of human psychology every week. Thanks for watching, and be careful what you validate with your attention.